Hey friends, Mike and Jess here.
And welcome to Regeneration Nation TV, where today we are watching American foods that are banned in other countries.
Yeah.
I'm very intrigued by this because we have too much. This is...
Yep.
Oh, sorry, tripped me out.
I'm just agreeing with you. Just, yep, that's all I was adding.
You said, yep, I thought you were going to say something.
I know where you're going with it.
We do. We have buffets. We have options galore. Our portion sizes are ridiculous. So I'm so intrigued to find out.
It's not just that, though.
Yeah, no. And
it's what's included in the freaking food, okay?
Yeah.
You got to add the context. In one of our
it.
other videos, I was talking about we have all this freedom and we eat this fast food, and people are like, do you really think that you have more freedom than us because you get to eat fast food? And it's like, no. What I was thinking in that moment was all the shit that's in our fast food. You know what I mean? It's different. I have a friend in Liverpool. I always bring him up.
Yeah.
Okay, my friend in Liverpool, Andy. Okay, he's going to be like
connection to
famous
the
on the
outside.
channel after you watch for a little while. Always bringing up Andy from Liverpool again.
Oh,
but no,
gosh.
he's talked about, like, he's told me, like, our Domino's is freaking way better than your Domino's, okay? Our burgers over here, way better than your burgers.
And I believe it, especially when different countries have different guidelines on what they can put into foods. Like, I feel like America says that they have, like, guidelines, but we put so much crap in our food.
Oh,
and
the FDA? Okay,
yeah.
it's a joke.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Seriously.
So I'm very anxious to see which ones are banned, why they are, what they do differently. Yeah.
I mean, I used to work at a chicken plant, okay? Before we move on, before we get onto the chicken plant, I've even heard that, like, Subway bread is classified as cake over in Europe because
the
of
amount of
how much
sugar.
sugar that's in it. So, chicken plant story, okay? I used to work there. They would bring truckloads of chickens in to slaughter, okay, to package the chicken. It's just a cool fact of how they get you chicken to your house.
Yeah.
And the truckload of chicken, they told me, the guy helping unload it, teaching me on my first day at the job, he's like, these chickens were baby chickens 3 weeks ago. They inject them with so much growth hormone and everything like that to kind of expedite the process to full grow these. I'm like, what, 3 weeks? I don't know if it's true. Okay, it's just some random dude at the chicken plant, but...
This is where I feel like the saying ignorance is bliss is so powerful here, because if I knew everything that was going on, like if I watched the videos that they posted on the internet, like they have YouTube videos on how chicken nuggets are made, how hot dogs are made. I refuse to watch it because I will never touch any of those things before. So I refuse to educate myself on that because I would like to keep eating those things.
It's
but
like, I'm just going to eat plants. Oh, you wait till you find out what they put in the plants,
Exactly.
okay? You think those plants are all natural?
They can destroy everything for you. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I'm just going to drink water. Oh, you don't know what's in the water? Okay.
No.
Anyways, we're going to get into this. It's going to be bad. It's going to be hard to watch.
Yeah.
But we're going to do it. Hopefully,
we recover from it.
I maintain my appetite because I am getting kind of hungry.
Okay.
Most Americans
be a
want to
test.
believe that the United States is the gold standard of clean food. But that belief may not hold up to scrutiny.
Hold up. You talking about McRibs? You better not talk. I'm just
I
kidding.
was
don't
about
like
to
the
say, though,
McRib.
I've worked in a fast food restaurant and you've worked in a chicken plant. You've worked at fast food restaurants
Yep.
as well. Like, you know the ins and outs of it. We already know.
It's bad.
Like,
it's bad. The
it's not
McRib
good.
is holy.
Yeah.
Okay, here, though. I don't really like it.
I don't
but
like it either.
I understand that it's holy and
People
it's...
wait for it. They wait
Yeah,
for it
you
to
can't
come.
be talking bad about the McRib.
clean food. But that belief may not hold up to scrutiny. From unsanitary practices in mass production to the addition of dangerous chemicals, countries have good reason to give the side eye to imported foods claiming to be USDA approved. That's right. This week we're talking about American foods that have been banned by other countries.
Let's
But
get
before we
into
get
it.
started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History Food channel. Then leave a comment and tell us what other world food facts you would like to know more about. Now let's see how wrong the rest of the world really
Wait, is that Jason Momoa?
It is, yeah.
Before all of the human growth hormone? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My bad.
is.
You're going to get so much flack for that.
Since the dawn of Skittles, there have been rumors about the dangers of eating them. Every one of us heard at least one classmate claim that the red ones make you sterile, and the yellow ones, they give you cancer. Turns out,
Dude,
it
that's
might
so
be worse
funny.
than that. First of all, your classmate wasn't wrong. The dyes known as Yellow 5 and Yellow 6 have been linked to hives and hyperactivity in children. Sweden and Norway have banned the candies out of concern. The European Union will most likely be banning Skittles at the end of the year, having already swapped out some of the dye for more natural flavors. This is because of something called titanium dioxide, which can be found making the colors pop across the rainbow. Research linked titanium dioxide to damaged DNA, which can lead to cancer. While Europe may be ahead of the Skittles awareness curve, America is quickly catching up. In May of 2021, the Environmental Working Group asked the FDA to categorize titanium dioxide as toxic. And yes, before you ask, right now the FDA says it's okay to consume some of that chemical compound. You can taste the rainbow, but just in moderation. California is home to an ongoing lawsuit against Mars Inc., the parent company of Skittles. The lawsuit claims Skittles are not only toxic, but are unfit for human consumption. So maybe for now, play it safe.
My son just got Skittles at the concert we just went to. I ate Skittles with him. I just feel like I didn't know this. This
I'm
is
not
another
big
thing
on
where
sugar, so I'm thankfully not a Skittles enjoyer.
Yeah, but still, I would like to find something that's a little bit more, because we're gonna want those things. Just why do they have to put that chemical in there?
When I was in school, though, Pixie Sticks. Okay?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Don't you dare tell me Pixie Sticks cause cancer, because
Do you remember the huge ones, the super long ones?
I remember them. I remember kids were getting dared to snort up Pixie Sticks and stuff in my school.
Oh my god,
it was ridiculous.
Horrible.
Everybody had a Pixie Stick in their freaking pocket when they went to school, though.
Yeah.
Or 10.
I remember
don't know.
that.
It was ridiculous.
Fit for human consumption. So maybe for now, play it safe. Just go have some Swedish fish instead.
Swedish fish are pretty good.
Oh, I'm not a big fan. I'm just not into sugary stuff.
Ever looked at a piece of crusty French baguette, be it in cartoon or in real life?
No.
Poor
Let's be
Charlie
honest,
Brown.
it was probably in the hands of Pepe Le Pew, and think, I can't make a sandwich with that. As great as we talk about the invention of sliced bread, a lot of European countries have actually banned much of what you'd find on America's wide grocer shelves. That's because we make a lot of our bread not just with grain, but with a variety snack packs worth of additives, like azodicarbonamide, for example, which helps bleach flour and strengthen dough. Fun fact about azodicarbonamide, it's also used in a spectrum of industrial products, including yoga mats.
Oh my gosh.
Downward dogs. The European Union is really against the idea of its citizens eating yoga mat material and has banned their use in food products.
Wow.
What?
Wow, dude.
I'm gonna start learning how to make our own bread.
I was gonna say that we just got back from a little small vacation down in Daytona Beach, and there is a special little diner called Steve's Diner, and what makes it awesome is they bake their own bread in-house, and it's the most delicious bread. It's not sweet, and it makes me wonder, is it as good as I think it is?
Do they put the stuff in there? They put yoga mat material in there? Please don't put yoga mat material
I hope not, because I hold Steve's Diner in high regard, and that bread is pretty damn delicious, and it would break my heart to find out that it's,
There's actually a craze going on of people doing their own sourdough. Sourdough bread is everywhere. People feeding, they show you how to feed sourdough. You have to leave it sitting for a long time. I'm not really sure the process because I haven't really delved into it, but it's a long process. But there's a lot of people making their own bread right now.
That's pretty cool.
I think I'm going to.
Pork, the other white meat, is a staple of American meats.
I already know
along
this
with
is going to be
chicken,
bad.
Fish, and beef. From bacon to ham, hot dogs to pork chops. American meat eaters consume about 67 pounds of pig per person every year.
Oh my gosh.
Please, we are not on that trend.
We are
Pork
not.
has already come out and it's bad. We've switched to turkey
Bacon,
sausage,
turkey sausage,
turkey bacon, things like that. If they come out in this video and say turkey's bad, we're turning it off.
It's very high in sodium, but we try to get the low sodium option. So I usually do the low sodium turkey bacon, but I'm sure there's something that you can say about that being bad too. So
let's get into how bad ham actually is, though.
My heart is stopping. Don't get us wrong. Other nations indulge in swine just as much, if not more, than Americans. So why doesn't the U.S. export scores of succulent bacon-bearing boars? Well, it turns out America adds a lot of chemicals during processing. Ractopamine in particular is used in many pig farms to raise porkier porkers. Ractopamine, which we put a dash of in a lot of foods, has been banned in 160 countries, which all consider the drug unsafe for human consumption. This, in turn, has led to a prohibition of pork exports across the world. The EU hasn't touched the stuff since outlawing ractopamine in 2009. China and Russia have been ractopamine-less since 2013. Maybe that's because ractopamine has the same effects as an intoxicant on humans and can cause tachycardia, headaches, and muscle spasms if consumed in large enough quantities. But it is a small price to pay for a perfect piece of the pork.
This is going to give
Hygiene
you
in America
flashbacks.
often comes down to dousing stuff in a chlorine bath and calling it FDA approved, and chicken is no exception. Pathogen reduction treatments, or PRTs, refer to the use of different chemicals to destroy harmful microbes on raw meat. Somewhere along the line, American food regulators decided a quick chlorine shock was the best way to kill salmonella and other bacteria on uncooked poultry. Chlorine marinade. And look, it's not that the EU is against taking a long gulp from the public pool now and then. In fact, the risks posed by chlorine consumption are relatively low. The bigger concern is that the chlorine baths are just an eye-burning band-aid on a larger problem. The tip of the beak, so to speak. They're worried that the PRTs are insufficient to deal with more than just the normal bacteria and don't get at a potential contamination from things like low-quality feed to unsanitary coops on farms. The EU called the chlorine rinse an easy fix, arguing no chemical rinse will ever remove all bacteria from meat heavily contaminated as a result of poor hygiene. That hurts extra to hear it from the French.
Listen, I don't want to go into full detail what I saw in that chicken factory,
saw a little bit
but it
of
was
it.
terrible.
Ugh.
The poor hygiene of those chickens coming in, on the smell from the semi truck was so awful. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. There's that, like, I don't really know what, when you're shipping the chickens across like interstates, and I don't know where those chickens were coming from, but how do you keep, like, do you wash all the chickens after they get off the truck? Do you just have the chicken farm right next to the chicken factory? Like, what is the answer to that? There's so many human beings to feed nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like, what is the answer there?
That's
you know what I mean?
That's what's horrible about America is we want more, we want more, we want it fast, we want it fast. And then you start getting these chemicals that are put in to add it and to make the subjects that you're working with bigger, faster, in a short amount of time. So then that's when, like, the growth hormones come in, and that affects us. Those chemicals that they're banning in other countries, those affect us eventually. Like, the more and more you get of those, which is so dangerous. But it's like, can I live without those things right now? You know what I mean? Like, you got to make that decision. Can I go and afford to get my own farm and raise my own chickens and slaughter, you know what I mean? Slaughter my own meat the way that I want to, raise them the way I want to, get my own eggs. Because I feel like that would be the ideal situation. I would love to do that, but I don't know if I could do that.
Well, here where we live, you literally can't have animals
Livestock,
because we live in, like, the city limits. You're not allowed to have livestock within the city limits, just in your yard like that. So
you have to find a piece of
literally
land.
can't do that. You'd have to move to a different part of town. Move out of town, really, out into the country to do something like that. But I used to work with this guy who was born and raised in Brazil, and he was telling me about chickens where he grew up. And he said, like, here you can't give your dogs chicken bones and things like that because they splinter. And you can just break a chicken bone. He's like, in Brazil, chicken bones were so hard. He's like, you could give them to dogs. You couldn't break them like that. They were, like, way stronger. And he's like, it's just the way that you guys raise your chickens here.
Production
mass
thing.
production.
Yeah, it's awful. Oh, gosh.
I don't drink Mountain Dew, thank goodness.
The closest any soft drink has come to being fully weaponized. But did you know in Austria and Norway, the soda is outright banned? That's because Mountain Dew's signature Chernobyl radiant hue comes from tartrazine, also known as yellow 5. And if your ADHD hasn't kicked in yet, you'll remember that color and number from the Skittles section earlier. It's been linked to headaches, hyperactivity, and the desire to be annoying to other people. Ironically, the qualities that make Mountain Dew a soda non gratis in other countries is exactly what the brand promotes: a frenetic, over-caffeinated lifestyle. Do the do. Baja Blast. Woo-hoo. And while you might be able to find Mountain Dew in Europe, it's going to hit a little different. That's because Europe spent exactly 2 years in the 90s riding the dew before discontinuing it. What is being sold as Mountain Dew in the EU has a recipe closer to the original carbonated beverage, as created by Tennessee beverage bottlers Barney and Ollie Hartman in the 1940s.
Okay, that makes so much sense to me. When you go to Tennessee, especially South Knoxville, where my family is from, they all drink Mountain Dew. They love Mountain Dew.
I know so many people that are hooked on Mountain Dew
everywhere in Tennessee. Like, that's where I never liked the taste of it, so I never got onto it. It's like energy drinks. I can only drink a couple types of energy drinks because the flavor gets to me and the aftertaste. But yeah, Mountain Dew, I never really got into it. I tried the Baja Blast from Taco Bell. It wasn't my thing. I didn't really just like
it.
The
literally
overly
hurts
sugary.
My stomach. It's so sweet. If I drink even a few gulps of it, I have a stomach ache. It's
but Tennessean
so
creators in the 1940s, that makes so much sense.
You know what's crazy is that like all my life, I've never connected Mountain Dew to mountains. It's just instantly I think of yellow sweetness, crazy carbonation. I never think of mountains.
I think of it only because of that movie with Devon Sawa where they sing that song. They're like, good old Mountain Dew. And then they make that sound. I don't know what movie that is, but
no bells rung.
I'm gonna have to look it up now because I'm very curious.
By Tennessee beverage bottlers Barney and Ollie Hartman in the 1940s.
Okay.
The original Mountain Dew was meant as a whiskey mixer, with the name coming from the affectionate Scottish term for
good
moonshine.
old Mountain Dew.
It'll tickle your innards, is what the old ads used to read.
Tickle
No
your
lies
innards?
detected here.
Yahoo! Mountain Dew!
What?
Oh man.
Hey, they better not talk about Nutter Butters, okay?
That's funny.
Little Debbie has been providing Americans with comfort snack food since the 1960s. With their variety of zebra cakes, star crunches, nutty bars, fudge rounds.
No! Not my Nutty Bars! That's one thing. That's my weakness is chocolate, peanut butter, and crispy wafer cookies,
Yeah, he likes that a lot.
Dang it.
Fudge rounds are my
no thanks.
jam right there. I love the fudge rounds. I love the zebra cakes. I love the Christmas trees when they'd come out for Christmas time.
Guess what?
I don't know if I can eat them though now.
We're about to change that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cosmic brownies.
And the oatmeal
But their
cream
big
pies.
claim to
Brownies,
fame, as anyone who has ever had their lunch packed by a parent can attest, is the Little Debbie Swiss rolls. A mixture
Yes,
of rich
those are my
chocolate cake
jam.
and butter creamy filling.
Yeah.
Over 900 million cartons of Little Debbie products are shipped each year, but none of those cartons go anywhere near Austria or Norway. Blame those rascally additives, yellow 5 and red 40. Swiss rolls contain 32 milligrams of dye per product, and in those quantities, they've been shown to have an adverse effect on children. And we're not just talking about causing hyperactivity, although one study found that cutting all artificial food coloring from diets may be 1/2 as effective as prescribing kids Ritalin. And well,
Why they're not? It's a chocolate like roll. Why are you adding all this food coloring?
Yeah, that's
these additives.
I'm
like that?
intrigued by that because I don't understand.
What is the point?
Unless
to
they're
all of
using it
this?
as a preservative, like unless it's something other than just the coloring that you get from it, maybe it's a preservative as well. Because all these Little Debbies, they can literally they make jokes about it lasting through the apocalypse. Like you could find a Twinkie in the apocalypse and probably eat it, because of all the preservatives that are in it.
When I'm 36 now. When I was 18, I got in some trouble. Ended up, in jail for a few weeks. And there were so many people in there. You go to pick up some food, they're like, "Don't eat that. It's got red stuff, the red 40 in it." I don't know all these chemical names.
Yeah.
But they're like, it makes you sterile. Oh, don't eat that. It'll kill you in a few years. Don't eat that. It makes you stupid. And I'm like, what? Half the stuff, I don't know if you guys are telling me the truth or you're trying to get my food from me so I don't eat it.
Yeah, right? That could
Like,
be
don't eat that. And I'm like, okay, I
underlying.
won't. They're like, but I'll eat it. But, yeah, there were so many people warning. It was all the older cats, and they're warning you
but
not
it's
to eat the
true,
certain
though.
stuff.
Like we just had a an interaction with people at the hotel when we were in Daytona, and there was this gentleman who was in the country, and he had that country wisdom, and he was telling us that we should get a dog for the baby because a dog will bring in all that pollen, all the stuff that you have allergies to into the house and get your baby immune to it. And then he was like, and if she doesn't have a dog, get that good honey that's the authentic from your area local honey, and get that, and that'll help with your allergies and stuff like that. And he's like, it's just some good old country wisdom. And I believed him, because a lot of the times when you have people that lived like a long time ago and they grew up with these remedies, they often work.
Some of
they
them
really do.
Some of them do.
Some of them are just outrageous
one guy I used
and
to
crazy.
Work with, he's like, if you get sick, just chug a whole gallon of orange juice. And I'm like, what? I looked it up, and I was like, okay, orange juice has vitamin C, which helps your immune system. But you know what has a ton more vitamin C than orange juice? Broccoli.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know what's in orange juice? Sugar.
Yeah, lots of it.
You know what's bad for when you're sick? Ingesting sugar.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if this is right or not. But he believed it was right.
We just read an article about a specific orange juice brand that has a chemical in it that it's a forever chemical.
Yeah.
And that's so dangerous. That might be on here too. You never know, but...
The food coloring from diets may be 1/2 as effective as prescribing kids Ritalin.
It's going to be an hour-long
While we can't
video.
prove there's a direct connection
There's
between
so much to
artificial food
dissect.
coloring and cancer, they do cause damage to white blood cells, causing them to mutate after only 3 hours. Exposure to these dyes could cause tumor cells to multiply way more rapidly.
Holy
For that
crap.
reason, researchers say a high chronic intake of food colorings throughout the entire life is not advisable. If only they weren't so delicious.
It makes me feel like kind of at ease watching this, because we don't really ingest a lot of these things. When I was a kid, yes.
I did,
like
yes.
My house, and I know you too, we've been married for freaking 17 years now.
Yeah.
I know that you're not ingesting things like this on a regular basis. You might love them from your childhood. Same with me. Even the nutty bars. Like,
yeah. We used to ingest a lot more when we first got married, though, when we were younger, for sure. Yeah. But we started to clear out that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
over the last decade, definitely, like, we've went almost down to zero with a lot of the stuff. We only drink water, milk, coffee, and not saying that those things are clean and clear either.
Yeah.
But it just, a lot of the stuff that they're highlighting in here, we've been clean and clear of for a while now, so that kind of makes me feel good.
Surprisingly, you can buy a little...
I'd be terrified watching this if I was ingesting these things on a
regular
daily basis.
As
I'd be like, holy crap, I'm going to get checked for tumors tomorrow.
All the time, and it's like, oh my gosh, and he's still so skinny, but he like talks
I don't know if you know who
this
guy Asmongold is. He ingests this stuff all the time.
Yeah, he talks about it all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's
Swiss
alive.
rolls in the EU, but they come with warning labels advising parents of the potential dangers to kids. You know, like cigarettes.
That's crazy.
Oh, Special K. I'm interested in this.
When you hear the words banned breakfast cereal, you're probably imagining one of the countless kid-focused brands of sugary morsels.
Yeah.
Like the oh-so-delicious Cookie Crisp. So you
That
might
is
be
a good
surprised to
series.
learn that it's actually Special K, the most boring cereal on all of the earth, that has been banned in Denmark and discouraged in the EU. How does the healthiest box of flakes on the shelf get banned, while stuff like Reese's Puffs and Cinnamon Toast Crunch continue to enjoy free passage? Ironically, because of its supposed health benefits. In the UK, Special K has been put on blast by the Advertising Standards Authority for exaggerating how much folic acid they pack into portions. Though it's still legal to buy in Europe, Denmark has completely banned Special K since 2004 for all its fortified vitamins and minerals. Regulators argue that Kellogg's cereal's unnaturally high levels of everything from vitamin A to zinc actually qualify Special K as a genetically modified organism, or GMO. More specifically, Special K is swole with the same artificial compounds that studies have shown to potentially pose health risks, specifically to children and pregnant women. In conclusion, you may want to stick with Crunch Berries.
Which is so crazy, because if you advertise a lot of folic acid, that's something that they tell you need a lot of when you're pregnant, especially. So whenever I was pregnant, I would focus on eating more broccoli because that has it in there. But if a cereal popped out and was like, this has a lot of folic acid, I'm like, oh, this is good for me. So I wouldn't even think twice about it. I wouldn't even look. Like, that's the one thing, is that I don't look into my foods too much. If they can put anything on the label and I'm like, oh, this says it's healthy, so it has to be healthy. But I feel like I gotta be smarter about that.
I'm glad you're married to me, because I shut that shit down real quick.
He does.
Okay, I'm like, did you not read this?
He's like,
I can look at the front of the package and see that it's bad, okay?
I'm like, but it says it's not bad. It says not bad for you at all, right here.
Yeah, not bad for you at all. That's how you know they're lying, Jess. They wrote that. It's definitely
They're trying to
tricking you.
get you.
I watched a podcast a few years ago where the guy, he was a professor at a university, and he came on to talk about GMOs, and he was saying how all of these things that they're doing, all of this research and development that they're doing is all getting labeled as GMO, and how the world has just deemed it bad.
Yeah.
And he gave this one instance to where, like in this country, to where a lot of the kids are developing eyesight problems, and cauliflower grows easily in this country. Other things that would help, that have the chemicals, the vitamins and minerals that would help with the eyesight, don't grow in that country. So like cauliflower, they can genetically modify it to include these vitamins and minerals. Let's call it that, because I'm not very smart. You have to go watch the podcast.
Yeah.
And
whatever is good for eyesight, though, for better.
but
for
they
better
can
eyesight.
put that in there, and they can crossbreed these plants to where this type of cauliflower can grow there. And because that cauliflower is being labeled as a genetically modified organism, which is different than what he's like, these things are bad. They put all of these chemicals and things into the plants to help them grow, or to help keep bugs away. And those are genetically modified organisms. But he's like, what we're doing is also being labeled as a genetically modified organism, but there's no harm to it. It's only good. And he's like talking about all of these innovations they could be making, but they're getting shut down.
Labeled
they're losing
as
all of this
GMOs.
funding
Yeah.
and everything like that. He's like, we need new labels. So it kind of, every time I hear GMO now, I'm like, which one is it?
Yeah, which one is it?
Because I watched that podcast, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I wonder if this is actually something good
Yeah.
that's being shut down. And, like when they were talking about the Special K, they're infusing all of this stuff into it, and it's being labeled as genetically modified organism. And it's like, well, is it bad to infuse one food with all of these things that are good for you?
Beneficial, yeah.
And beneficial, and just because it was genetically modified? Like, why? What's wrong with creating a superfood?
Yeah, we should
basically?
definitely have like labels for that. Like if you're going to label it as genetically modified, because if I hear GMO, because of the way that society has brought it to my attention, I'm automatically like, oh, they put crazy chemicals in there.
Yeah,
but not necessarily. Like they're going to combine two natural things and create it. It wasn't naturally made that way, but they're creating it to be beneficial, like you said, in that certain part of the country where the carrots don't grow, where they need more stuff that's in carrots to benefit your eyesight, but they
can
don't
infuse
have
a carrot into some cauliflower,
Yeah.
and then boom,
Yeah.
fixed. But no, it's getting shut down. And this was years ago that I watched that podcast.
That's
I wonder
crazy.
how things have developed since then. But yeah.
Steak. That's my lifeblood
You don't
right
need to
there.
take-
Yeah, she works at Texas Roadhouse. Steak is the #1 menu item.
Yeah.
I love steak. I don't eat it very often, but I do love it. I have to admit. Might not be in about a minute.
Yeah.
You don't need to take a transcontinental flight to visit countries that have banned American foods. Just drive up to the Canadian border, flash your passport, and sign an affidavit saying you're not smuggling any steak tartare in your trunk. Today, consuming raw meat has fallen out of fashion in the U.S., much like other foods like veal and pate, which don't make you sick but might make you sad. But while baby cow and overstuffed goose liver is illegal in parts of America now, tartare is not.
Oh,
See, while veal and pate may be uncool, they are also served hot, unlike tartare, which is chopped up cold meat, straight from the cow.
Nope.
Undercooked or raw foods can lead to an increase in food poisoning and parasitic infections, especially in beef and poultry. But considering how fancy pants steak tartare is, Titanic food one might say, you'd think countries might look the other way and let the luxury delicacy slide. And for a long time they did. In Canada, meat has to reach an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit, the equivalent of a medium rare steak, in order to be considered safe to serve. But those rules aren't strictly enforced.
Oh.
That is, until recently. In 2021, restaurant owners in New Brunswick selling steak tartare were all served cease and desist letters. Canadian public health officials had decided that amid the ongoing health crisis of COVID-19, the last thing their citizens needed was a side order of botulism.
Yeah, no.
Well, you can call our household Canada because you better be cooking stuff.
Yeah, you need to be cooked. 145 degrees or above, please.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I know no raw food up in here.
No.
My parents used to give me raw ground beef when I was a kid too, which was so crazy.
Yeah.
And no, I could not do it now.
No way.
Who knows what's crawling inside of me?
Right?
Ugh.
The last thing their citizens needed was a side order of botulism.
Oh, can't do it.
Is there anything more American than Coca-Cola?
Coca-Cola.
The fizz,
America.
the flavor, the former secret ingredient, cocaine. Coke is basically apple pie in beverage form. And it's not just Americans who are cuckoo for Coke. Invented by a pharmacist in 1886 Georgia, Coca-Cola quickly caught on overseas. It was the World War II GI's drink of choice. Pre-pandemic, Coca-Cola had 500 brands in over 200 countries, making it the best-selling soft drink and one of the most recognizable brands of all time. But there will always be exceptions. And unlike the other entries on the list,
That's
for
creepy.
once,
That's
it has nothing to do
The
with health
commercials
concerns.
back in the day.
Everybody knows that Coke is not good for you. We just decided collectively that we don't care. No, the countries that have outlawed the brand have done so because of what it represents, a symbol of the encroachment of American capitalism. From 1962 to 2011, the U.S. banned sales of Coke to Burma as part of sanctions against the military junta that ruled the country until 2011. It resumed sales in the country in 2012. Today, Coca-Cola is only unavailable in 2 countries with long-term trade embargoes with the U.S. North Korea hasn't allowed Coke since 1950.
What? That's so crazy.
It's political too. What?
Like you don't like us no more? We don't like no more
You
Coke
can't
for
have
you.
our Coca-Cola.
You can still have oil.
Wow.
Coke? No, thank you.
So,
okay.
yeah, that's what my opinion was going to be on when it showed Coca-Cola. Never did I think it was going to take this turn, or did I even know anything about this part of it. But, like, that's crazy. Yeah, Coca-Cola, super sugary, not good for you, obviously. People know it, but they still want to use it. Like, I've seen somebody use it in a toilet cleaning tutorial.
Yeah. When I think of Coke and other big corporations like that nowadays, I just immediately think of politics, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of these companies like lobby and they're so heavily involved in politics.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I just, every single time I think about the company now,
That's crazy.
Politics.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Trade embargoes with the U.S. North Korea hasn't allowed Coke since 1950, and the bubbly beverage has been banned in Cuba since Fidel Castro seized supplies in 1962. First the prequels, now Coke. Is there anything that can't be ruined by the federalization of trade taxation?
Oh
In a
my
twist of
gosh.
irony and line, Cuba was actually one of the first bottlers of the beverage outside of America. Today, Cuba Cola has replaced Coke as the country's soft drink of choice,
Wow.
though
Okay.
black
Cuba
market
Cola.
sales bound. After all, it is the birthplace of the Cuba Libre, aka the rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke with a lime. Don't forget about the lime piece. You can't call it a Cuba Libre if it doesn't have the lime.
M&Ms, the delicious melt in your mouth, not in your hand snacks,
Same
were
Skittles
originally
guidelines,
a collaboration
I'm
between the
assuming.
Scion sons of the Mars and Hershey dynasties in 1941. Like
Did they teach you how to do math with M&Ms as a kid?
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
between the
They're trying to
Scion
get you in
sons
there.
of the Mars and Hershey dynasties in 1941. Like Coca-Cola, M&Ms gained international fans during World War II, as American soldiers popularized the candy overseas as the chocolate that won't get your trigger finger all sticky. But you won't find the candy in Sweden, where it's banned due to a trademark conflict with a popular national candy that also features lowercase m's as its signature.
What?
When Mars introduced the candy to Sweden in 2009, a court ruled its marketing too similar to that of the Norwegian Marabous, which resemble Kit Kats. During World War I, Marabou
Kit
had
Kats.
moved its manufacturing to its Swedish neighbors, where it received a royal warrant of appointment by the King of Sweden.
Wow.
Here we thought the Swiss were the chocolate snobs. Should you want to check out what the
Ooh,
fuss is all about,
chocolate.
Marabou's is sold in IKEA stores here in the U.S.
Going to
At least
IKEA?
it's good to know that M&Ms don't contain any harmful dyes or chlorine residue, right?
Lies.
That's a pretty important victory for hard-shelled chocolate. So what do
Oh,
you...
they don't?
Well,
They don't?
Yeah, it said they don't. So
Okay.
why can M&Ms have very colorful outsides but Skittles can't? Or is it the stuff on the inside?
No,
that-
the stuff on the outside. Because the stuff on the inside, well, I don't know what's on the inside of a
The
Skittle. to be
freaking
honest
chocolate
with you.
roll-up things had dye in them, dude. It doesn't
Yeah.
even make any sense.
Maybe they've changed their recipe as of late. Like maybe they upgraded over time
I don't
to
know.
change it.
Which of these banned foods sounds the most delicious? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out some of these other videos from Weird History Food.
I was gonna say maybe we'll have to watch foreign foods that are banned in the U.S. next. Who knows? Who knows? That was interesting to watch, though.
Yeah.
Kind of, I already knew it. In my
Yeah.
gut, it's like I knew it.
Yes.
I've been avoiding a lot of the foods that they talked about there for a long time. They didn't really say anything about steak other than the rawness of it, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really good. I'm happy to hear that. I know that,
I'm
like...
stick with my beef, but cook it. I'm going to cook it all the way.
Yeah, I know that, like, the methane gas that cows release and the fact that so many people eat steak nowadays and that mass producing it and
It's
just
affecting the
not-
environment for sure.
it's environmental, but as far as like human consumption, it didn't sound like he had anything to say, so that's good.
Yeah. People go back and forth on the red meat thing, so people
Yeah.
can say don't have too much red meat or eat more red meat, more
I'm
protein.
I'm sure I'll hear about this one in the comments.
Yeah.
But either way, that was it was enlightening to a certain extent. At the same time, it's like I feel like I already knew a lot of that stuff. Just I don't know. It's just, if you've eaten a lot of these things, you kind of know, like, you don't feel good eating them.
No, you don't. They taste delicious and you feel good while you're eating it, but then the after is like, why did I do that?
Yeah, once you
kinda
kind of
thing.
venture out and start eating like better quality food items and everything, and you go back to a freaking Swiss roll made from Little Debbie's, you're like,
It's not the same.
it's just not the
Yeah.
same, man. There's something that's not right about this.
Yeah, there's something.
Okay.
There's some kind of chemical in this. Probably red dye number 4, I'm sure. I'm kidding. I would never say that when I'm eating something like that.
I don't want
But
to be
that was
sterile.
enlightening in the way that why it's banned in those certain parts of the world, because I
Yeah.
didn't know the specific areas that ban certain things and why they did. I knew that there was those additives in the food that we're eating, but I didn't know which countries banned it. So that was definitely cool to learn that. So
Yeah, it was enlightening. Hopefully you enjoyed our reaction to this. We've made this video very long already.
so long.
Hopefully you enjoyed some of our commentary, and we're looking forward to reading some of y'all's comments in the description as well. Or in the comment
Yes.
section, I should say.
Yeah.
We've got the video link for the original in the description, though. And yeah, we'll see y'all in the next one.
Bye, friends.
Peace.
I'm not scared of your love, so show me